The Iron Fist of Kaaldhara, a tale of power, fear, and the unyielding spirit of a young boy. Kaaldhara, a land shrouded in fear where the sun rarely pierced the thick, oppressive clouds. Ruled by an iron fist, its people lived under the constant shadow of tyranny. King Veer ruled with an iron fist. No dissent, no hope, only obedience. His word was law, and his gaze a sentence. Arjun was born into this world, a world where dreams were stifled before they could take flight, a world of shadows and whispers. Every corner held secrets, every alley a story of silent suffering. His childhood, a litany of rules, each day a new decree, a new restriction. Every day a struggle to be invisible, to blend into the background and avoid the ever-watchful eyes of the king's guards, to avoid the king's wrath. A single misstep could mean punishment, or worse. Fear was a constant companion. His parents, shadows themselves, moved with caution and spoke in hushed tones. Their faces etched with worry, lines deepened by years of living under the iron fist. They spoke of freedom in hushed tones, a dream buried deep. Arjun yearned for more. He longed for a world beyond the iron bars, but fear held him captive. The weight of the king's rule pressed down on his young shoulders. Like a bird in a cage, he longed to break free, to taste the wind, to feel the sun on his face without the shadow of fear. But the bars held him fast. The iron fist of Kaaldhara was unyielding, and escape seemed like a distant dream. The defining scar. One day the world shattered. Arjun, in his innocence, made a mistake, a small act of defiance. He drew a bird in flight, a symbol of freedom. The king's guards saw it. Punishment was swift, brutal. His family dragged away. Their cries echoed in the night. Arjun watched, helpless, his heart tore. The guilt was a searing brand. His fault, his family, gone. That night, something inside him broke, and something else ignited, a smoldering ember of rage. He vowed revenge. He would fight back. A whisper in the shadows. In the dead of night, when the world was asleep, a figure moved silently, unseen and unheard. Arjun disappeared into the shadows, his presence barely a whisper in the wind. He was a master of the night, a ghost in the darkness. He became a ghost, a whisper of defiance against the tyranny that gripped his land. His movements were fluid, his intentions clear. He helped others in secret, small acts of rebellion that went unnoticed by the oppressors but meant the world to those he aided. Each act was a spark of hope. He learned the art of stealth, of blending in with his surroundings, becoming one with the night. He was a shadow among shadows, unseen and unheard, of striking when least expected. He became a symbol of hope for the downtrodden, a beacon of light in their darkest hours. His actions spoke louder than words, a silent protector. The people whispered his name in hushed tones, afraid yet hopeful. Arjun, the unseen guardian, the shadow that watched over them. A legend began to grow. Arjun, the shadow of Kaaldhara, became more than a man. He became a symbol, a myth that inspired courage and defiance, a beacon in the darkness, a symbol of resistance against the oppressive regime. His presence was a reminder that hope still existed, but Arjun knew it was not enough. He needed to do more. The small acts of rebellion were just the beginning. He needed a plan, a strategy to bring about real change. He needed to strike at the heart of the regime, to break the chains of oppression that bound his people. The time for whispers was over. It was time for action. The spark of rebellion. Arjun discovered a network of tunnels hidden beneath the bustling city streets. These tunnels were ancient, a relic of a time long forgotten. Ancient passages beneath the city, shrouded in mystery and history, waiting to be uncovered. A secret whispered from generation to generation. The whispers of rebellion, carried through the ages, a beacon of hope for the oppressed. He met others like him, individuals who had also discovered the tunnels and shared his desire for change. People tired of living in fear, united by a common goal, ready to stand up against their oppressors. They saw Arjun as their leader, a beacon of hope in the darkness, someone who could guide them to freedom. Their hope for a better future, a future where they could live without fear, without oppression. The spark of rebellion ignited. They planned and trained meticulously, gathering weapons and resources, preparing for the inevitable confrontation. They were ready to fight for their freedom. Arjun knew the risks, but he also knew that the fight was necessary, but he was not afraid. He had lost everything dear to him, and now he had nothing left to lose. He had nothing left to lose but his chains. The time for action had come, and the spark of rebellion was about to become a roaring flame. Beyond the walls, Arjun escaped through the tunnels. He left the confines of Kaaldhara and saw the world outside. It was a world of color and light. He met people who had never known oppression, who lived in freedom. Arjun learned about democracy, about justice, and about equality. Arjun realized the depth of Kaaldhara's darkness. He saw the potential for a brighter future, a future free from fear. With a renewed sense of purpose, he returned to Kaaldhara. He would bring back the light. He would free his people. A flame ignited. Arjun met Anaya outside the walls, a young woman full of fire, a rebel from a distant land. She had heard the whispers of Kaaldhara. She saw the flame in Arjun's eyes, the determination to fight. She joined his cause. Together they forged a resistance. They trained and strategized. They recruited more people. The resistance grew. They became a force to be reckoned with. They launched small attacks, acts of sabotage. They sowed chaos and dissent. They gave the people hope. The flame of rebellion burned bright. Despair and determination. Tragedy struck. The king's forces raided a village. They were looking for Arjun. They punished the villagers for harboring him. Arjun arrived too late. He saw the devastation, the bodies, the despair. He had failed to protect them. The guilt was crushing, but he couldn't give up. He had to fight on for them, for all the people of Kaaldhara. He vowed to make King Veer pay. He would end his reign of terror. He would bring freedom to his land, no matter the cost. The reckoning. The final battle was upon them. The resistance, armed and ready, faced the king's forces. Arjun led the charge. His eyes blazed with righteous fury. The battle raged. Blood stained the ground, but the resistance fought with courage. They would not be denied their freedom. Arjun confronted King Veer. The king, old and weak, was a shadow of his former self, but his eyes still held a spark of cruelty. Arjun fought with the fury of a man possessed. The king fell. His reign of terror was over. Dawn of a new Kaaldhara. Arjun, wounded but victorious, addressed his people. He spoke of freedom, of justice, of a new beginning for Kaaldhara. The people cheered. Their chains were broken. They were finally free. Kaaldhara began to heal. The scars remained, but so did the hope. Arjun, the boy who had once been afraid, had become their savior. He had found his freedom, and in doing so, he had freed his people. He had ignited a flame that would never be extinguished, the flame of hope.